Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Universal Pathways, a show brought to viewers worldwide right here on Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on MillenniumTV24.com. Viewers can download the Millennium TV News 24 app on their iPhone, the App Store, and the Google Play Store for all Android devices. You can also watch us live on Roku, Apple TV, LG TV, Sony Smart TV, Blu-ray, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV, Horizon Satellite, Beyond Boundaries, or go to our website at www.millenniumtv24.com. Again, that is www.millenniumtv24.com. Today, I'm truly honored to be in the studio with Mr. Hansani-Bey. He's an active member of the Moore Science Temple of America in California, Temple number 1 in Oakland, California. He's here today to share with us and our viewers his perspective on life, as he has had some sobering experience in his life journey. Welcome today, Brother Hansani-Bey. How are you doing, my beloved brother?
Islam, I'm doing excellent.
Beautiful, beautiful. For those who are listening, among Moorish American, you might hear the word Islam. Islam simply means peace to us. So that's a part of our custom here. So I'm glad to have you here today on the show, my good brother. Will you tell us about yourself and some of your background for our studio audience and the viewers worldwide? Just introduce yourself.
Yes. My name is Brother Hansani-Bey. I am a practicing Moorish American. I have been a member of Temple 1 in Oakland for approximately 2 to 3 years. And I am a man who's actually a living witness of how more science can actually change your life, but also how it actually can bring inner peace, because I went through that journey.
Okay. So more science have changed your life and brought inner peace. Here, Universal Pathway, of course, universe. We live in a dualistic experience, male and female, etc. But it's a beautiful thing when we really go inside, we come back to one perspective. And that one perspective is that we're alive. Are you in agreement?
Yes. Yes.
So with that being alive, as opposed to being dead, we're going to speak a little about that, what it means to be alive and what it means to be dead. Because I think your story is very relevant as it pertains to that. Can you tell us about how you came to a universal perspective, as in even embracing more science, and how has this pathway that you're currently on has impacted your life and make you a better human being?
Yes. Right now, I consider myself alive. Right now, I am a person who wakes up each day giving all praises to God, which I call Allah. And I start my day and live out my life being productive, doing what's best for me and what's best for humanity. Prior to accepting Islamism and prior to reuniting with God, I was in a dead state. And my dead state is I was doing everything harmful to harm myself, to harm my community, and actually being in disobedience with God. That's what I consider my dead state. I never had peace, but now I do have peace. And what more science did was, through the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, it brought me back to my original state, which is peace, which brought me back to being one with God again by obeying God's laws, customs, which brought an inner peace. And also giving me all the answers that I need regarding who I am, who I should be, and what I need to be doing. And it was also therapy, an inner mental therapy and spiritual therapy that I did on myself by studying myself. So I went from a dead state to now a living state.
Well said. I mean, I too embrace the more science as a Moorish American. Prior to that, of course, many times in filling out application prior to learn about Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I would fill applications out, and I probably more than likely would have checked the terminology black. And studied more science, specifically the teaching of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He basically reminds us that we're not Negro, black, colored, Ethiopians, etc. So I've now realized as a Moorish American, why are we Moorish Americans? Because we're descendants of Moroccans and born in America. He also brought us the religion of Islam. Like I said to our listening viewers, that Islam means peace to Moorish American. And the goal is to be at peace with all things. So you mentioned, coming into peace, but just kind of give us some history as to your background. At what point in your life were you in turmoil or not finding peace, to really now see that, the before and after type demonstration. What was it growing up like? What was that like? And where were you? What state did you originate in? As far as I know with Prophet Noble Drew Ali, for instance, it's North Carolina. But what state did you originate in? What was that like growing up? And what was the turning point in your life where you felt you went left and then you had to come back right once you not embrace this beautiful teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali?
Yeah, excuse me, I have to get a towel.
Not
because, this is a part of my life that is really emotional for me. I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I'm approximately 60 years old now. I grew up in the Bay Area, and I had what you would consider average childhood with divorced parents. Grew up having divorced parents. Lived with my mother in Pittsburgh, California. But there's always been an emptiness inside me. And that emptiness inside me led me to basically doubting everything, even doubting myself, and then it developed into self-hatred for myself and everything around me. I graduated from high school, but after high school, I started participating in criminal activities with an uncle. I have an uncle that's a career criminal. So I started being involved in criminal activity. I did everything from stealing cars to selling drugs to burglaries. Every crime you could think of, I did it. In 1989, I committed armed robbery, and the person that I was robbing died.
Wow.
It was as a result of my actions.
Wow.
And they gave me a life sentence, 25 years plus 7. So base 32 to life. So I entered the prison system at age 23 years old and just being wild. While in the prison system, I was just getting more wild because that's in the 80s when time was very rough in prisons and so forth. But while in prison, within the first 10 years, I started doing I've always been a researcher. So I started doing researching. I met Brother Geronimo Pratt, the Black Panther at Tehachapi State Prison. So he had me and a few youngsters reading books on the Black Panthers and so forth. And then that's when I got started on Pan-Africanism. Then I read up on Marcus Garvey and so forth. But I've noticed that through my studies, it always led me back to Noble Drew Ali because the foundation of the Black Panther Party is based upon the principles that Noble Drew Ali taught. Then I started reading up on the history of a lot of different things, masonry and so forth, because I was trying to find myself because I had a question of who am I? I could never figure it out. So I started researching. I researched masonry. Prince Hall Masonry brought me back to Noble Drew Ali.
Wow.
So I do a lot of research. Egyptology brought me back to this one man, Noble Drew Ali, and Marcus Garvey, those two. So I still straddled the fence in prison, even though I had knowledge. Knowledge didn't do me no good because I wasn't willing to submit. I attended every religious service because I was always seeking knowledge. I want to know the origin of the Jewish faith, the origin of Orthodox Islam, the origin of everything. I've always been interested because man knows not by being told. I wanted to research it to find out who am I. Wow. I could never get that answer. So I've researched, if you mention it, I've researched it because I was trying to find myself. So it came to one point in prison where reality set in. Once I became aware of, became remorseful, I had to think about the damage I caused to my community, committing crimes, the shame that I gave to my parents. So I thought about committing suicide because I can't do this. If I can't escape out of prison, I got to get out in some type of way. So I sat in my cell. I got on the floor. So I prayed to God. And I said, Allah, what should I do? Should I continue living or should I die? Because I just need to get this pain over with. So I asked Allah, please send me a sign. Because I don't believe in mystery stuff. I figured that Allah's powerful. I just asked him, send me a sign. So Allah sent me a sign. It came in the form of another inmate who brought a good business idea to me. Wow. And I thought about it and I listened to the sign. I went forward. And from that meeting that one guy, I wrote my first book while in prison. So I said, Allah's signs work. So later on, still being rebellious, because I still didn't fully submit, I kept extending my prison time by getting into trouble, doing things I wasn't supposed to do. So it came to a point again where I asked Allah again, I want to change, but I don't know how. So I asked Allah to send me a sign, Allah to talk, answer my prayer. Because when you pray to God, that's you talking to God, but you have to be willing to sit still and meditate and let God talk to you. Mm-hmm. And when God talks to you, you'll feel it, but don't brush it off. As soon as you get that feeling or you go with it, that's what I did. I met a brother and he was talking about Noble Drew Ali. So we talked. I started attending services. I attend every service, whether it's in the rain, whether it's nighttime, daytime. And then I started studying the teachings of Noble Drew Ali. And then he answered the question, who am I? I got to research Moorish American. I said, oh. And then I had a better understanding of who I am. And also as American. Then I started doing more research. And then I just told Allah, I'm going to submit. That means I'm going to do what you ask me to do. I'm going to make my prayers. I'm going to obey prison rules. I'm going to do everything because I'm in hell. We talk about a spiritual hell, but I was in a physical hell. And I couldn't get out of it. So once again, I always go to Allah. I pray and I ask him, and then Allah told me, you ask for advice. So I went to 3 people. I even went to the correctional office. I went to psychiatrists and I said, I need help. See, because as a Moorish American, we study our science, but we also study what's around us. And we add on. So basically, that's how I made changes in prison, is that I started doing more study of self and I fully submitted to God. And when I went to my parole hearing, they told me, you could have left a long time ago. And they asked me, what's the difference now? I said, me and God are one. You don't have no more problems out of me because I'm with God now. And as long as I'm bearing his laws, I have no problem with yours. I have no problem, bearing my parents. I have no problem bearing those in authority. So that's why I try to tell a lot of young people, is that basically when you feeling rebellious, maybe you need to come back to God. And I try to, explain to them that committing crimes, going to prison, it's only gonna make the matters worse. The other part of my story is that I paroled March 2nd, 2022. When I came out into this world,
hold on one second.
Realized that, yes, sir.
Yeah, Brother Hansani-Bey, I'm going to have to ask you just to hold for that second portion that you're about to share with us. Thank you so much for your openness. We're going to go to a commercial. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Hello viewers, you are watching Millennium News 24. America and global villages seen America independence built by immigrants, manufacturers, roads, highways, educations, healthcare, IT, scientists, space, business development to all thousands of multimedia and all major social media platforms and news network in America. Millennium News 24, one of truthfully news networks in America and global news organizations. Please watch, follow and subscribe. We are in iOS and Android devices, Roku, Amazon, Apple devices, all smart TV, globally Horizon satellite, social media Millennium News 24, Millennium TV 24. Website www.millenniumnews24.com and www.millenniumtv24.com. Thank you.
Welcome back to Universal Pathway. I'm your host, Curtis Douglas Ill. Today we're in the studio with Mr. Hansani-Bey, a Moorish American by way of Oakland, California. Beautiful brother. Prior to going to the commercial, he mentioned that he was in the dismal crypt. For us, that is the prison system. He was in the belly of the beast, referred to in many ways. Literally, this good brother was on lockdown. He mentioned the fact that he was rebellious. He mentioned the fact that he got influenced by an uncle, unfortunately, after his parents being divorced, and he made some bad decisions. So much so that somebody lost their life. I'll be honest with you, I feel the sincerity of my good brother. He's actually somewhat moved to emotions, but I can feel the vibration of what it is he's saying. He's very real. He's very authentic. The Black Panther had an impression upon him while in the prison system. Then he got, embraced upon the teaching of Marcus Garvey. Then someone introduced him to the light of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. He asked the question, who am I? He prayed, he got answered, he wrote a book. He went back on his commitment. He went back to prayer. He prayed again. He got more answers. And he hit a whole different level of sincerity, so much so that when his parole interview came forth, he literally told him that he's got God. We spoke about this connection that we find inside. He moved from the state of being dead, not knowing who he is, to becoming more conscious, knowing who he is, and have an inspiration to now change, letting ones know that you don't have an issue anymore with the law. Why? Or him breaking the law. Why? Because he's willing to submit to God's law. As Moors, Moorish Americans, we refer to Allah or the great God as Allah. So does most of the Muslim world refer to the great God as Allah. Now, it's a beautiful thing to see the brother change. Prior to the commercial, he was about to go into another phase of his story and beautifully said, go ahead, my brother, you have the floor.
Yeah, so went to my parole hearing, and it was, I think, my sixth one, because in prison, when you mess up, they can give you, they can call you back in from another 3 to 15 years, depending on how much you mess up. So I've been in there 6 times, so I tell you how many times I've been messing up. So when you go into parole hearing, they have parole commissioners, and you also have a district attorney, and they have to interview. So they was basically, asking me, my dear friend, and I explained to him that this is a new me. I'm back with God. I'm connected, and I realized that even though I'm remorseful, I have to think about what all I did. So they granted me parole, and I paroled March 2nd, 2022. Upon entering the Bay Area, I noticed that the world has changed because I was gone 33 years, 1 month, and 11 days.
Wow.
So the world I knew was gone. The world that exists now is, to me, is reversed. I thought I was the crazy one, but when I got out, I realized that majority of society is crazy. As I was explaining to Assistant National Grand Chief, is that it's similar to the old movie of The Planet of the Apes. when the actor Charleston Heston went in the astronaut, or Mark Wahlberg went up to space, he came back down. He thought he was on a different planet, but he actually was on Earth. Everything had changed. His world was gone. So it was hard for me to kind of readjust because I'm a better version of myself, but the world is a worse version of itself.
Wow. It's very deep.
So I explained to family and stuff, and I try, through my demonstration, they can see that I'm different, and I try to get them to be back to their old way because everything's changed. So while going through this turmoil, I'm always afraid of what I call my lower self, which means negative thoughts, my lustful desires, and things like that, because those things existed before I went to prison. Even though I mastered myself in prison, I still have to deal with this out here. So while I'm wrestling with that, I saw a Moore in San Francisco. I saw a bright red Fez in downtown San Francisco. I followed that red Fez. I talked to a brother. And we got to talking. And he said about Cosmo Ill. I said, oh man, I've heard about, Grand Sheik Cosmo Ill. I said, where? He said, Oakland. I said, okay. But I still wasn't committed because I'm still wrestling with myself. Even though we come back to God, we'll still be constantly wrestling with our old self. So I still didn't do any research. A Grand Sheik in Baltimore that I was in conversation with, he told me to look for Cosmo Ill. He said, that's a good brother. Okay. He said, that's the best representative you're going to have in the Bay Area. Find Cosmo Ill. But I still kept putting that off. One day I got off from work and I was riding around Lake Merritt on my bike. So I like to ride a bike. I saw a bright red Fez, again, another sign. And I saw this red Fez and I said, this time I'm going to go to that red Fez. And this is God talking to me. So I went to the brother with the red Fez on. I talked with the brother with the red Fez on. And he explained that I'm a part of Cosmo Ill's temple. I said, where's the temple at? He said, we'll meet on Fridays. I said, look, you know what? I'm going to make a commitment. I'll be there. Mm-hmm. I'll be there. So I shook hands with the brother. I went to temple meetings and it was beautiful. When I walked in, I felt good vibes. It was at night. I rode my bike. Caught the bus, rode the bike. I got to go to this meeting because I made a commitment to God. I'm going to make it 100% now. Once I step through this door, there's no turning back. Mm-hmm. I started attending the meeting and I felt peace, like a new family. One of the most influential things that happened to me while attending the meetings that Grand Sheik Cosmo Ill came out from Hawaii. And I've heard about it. And while in prison, I've always dreamed about going to a temple meeting. I've heard about these Moors, the temple meetings, Noble Drew Ali. I have photos from 1928. I have a lot of things. I'm at the meeting now. The brother Cosmo Ill, Grand Sheik Cosmo Ill, respectfully was speaking. And at the end of the meeting, he asked one to declare the nationality.
Wow. Take your time. Take your time. For those who are wondering what that process is, as Brother Hansani-Bey is mentioning, what does it mean to proclaim your nationality? Why is that important? He asked the question, who am I? Who am I? He got the answer. He saw Fezes twice, just like in prison. He got hit twice. So there's somewhat of a stubbornness there, but at least, the second round, he normally get it together, right? So now this name was introduced to him, Cosmo Ill, known as Nathaniel Booth Ill. He's the National Grand Sheik of the United Moorish Science Temple of America. Beautiful, beautiful Moorish American brother. I too received similar message as it pertained to someone who I met through Baltimore as well. And that sister said, if you want to meet the very good Grand Sheik, at the time he was a Grand Sheik, she said, California, the same temple number 1 in Oakland. And I actually flew to Oakland with my daughter. And that is where I now start to learn deeper about the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I was already exposed to more science, but I started to learn deeper as it pertained to what it means to be a clean and pure nation. And that was very important to us, to be around Muslims, Moorish American, that want to live the life according to law. You hit the nail on the head when you said that the wardens and the prison system would not have no issue with you in front of the parole board, because why? You found God. We found the truth within ourselves. And we wanted to build with others who had that similar truth within themselves, who are wearing this fez. He mentioned the red fez. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, when you're wearing this fez and this turban, he said, Moors look your best. So his command and his words to Moors, look your best. Because why? We're supposed to be the model to society. When the Moors went into Spain 711, they civilized all of Europe. Today we see the kingdom in Morocco, but a lot of people do not know that the Moorish Empire was right here in the Americas as well. So Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought these teachings back, connecting us to the indigenous history. So he said what? Proclaim your nationality, Acts 6. We are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they must know that they're not Negro, Black, or colored people, because these names were given to by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865, during the time of slavery. But he said this is a new era of time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nation of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to us as Moorish American. Because why? He brought us a message of salvation. Because you cannot be a dead state of Negro. You cannot be a dead state of Black. You cannot be a dead state of colored people. Every 25 years, the name of these people change. Now they call us Moorish American. Who was the individual who called us that? Jesse Jackson. No one individual have the right to name a people that disconnect them from their divinity. Every single people on the planet have a divine essence. So as that divine essence stirred in the brother, he asked the major question, who I am. When Moses went to Pharaoh, and he said, when Pharaoh asked me who sent me, who should I say? The Most High told Moses, Musa, I am sent you. So that's the power of asking that question. Who am I? Within yourself, the divine being, the divine essence, the conscience within you. Knowing you're sincere, provide the answer. So proclaiming one's nationality, who's been stripped of a nationality in 1774, lasted until 1865, it's truly an honor to see someone such as yourself who end up in the dismal crypt in the prison system, which is another means by which one gets stripped, because slavery today is practiced by way of what? Involuntary servitude. So honest to you, my brother, for having the strength and the courage to move beyond such beatdown. Honest to you for that strength. So with that, please continue as it pertains to your experience in Oakland with the temple established by the National Grand Sheikh Nathaniel Booth Eel, which I do believe right now is run by Grand Sheikh William Osiris Bey. He's now the Grand Sheikh. Go ahead, my brother. You have the floor.
Yes. When Grand Sheikh Cosmo Hill asked who wanted to become the nationality, it like time stood still for me. One, I wanted to do it, but two, I thought of all the things I did. And, you know, I thought of all the things I did to my parents, all the things I did to myself, to society. And really, I didn't think I was worthy. I made it to this point, but you know, when I do things, I usually do it all way. Either if I'm going to be bad, I'm going to be all bad. If I'm be good, I'm going to be all good. There's really no middle. So I proclaim my nationality. Cosmo Hill, when he hugged me and saluted, you know, greeted me, it just felt good. I mean, it felt like, you know, that I made it to my part, you know, the main part of my journey, you know, and I just said, I'm not going back. I'm not going back to being a slave to my lower self, a slave to my desires. I'm not going to go back to being coming up with excuses. I'm not anti-black. I'm not anti-white. I'm not going back to none of that. And I started crying. I sat down in the back because I didn't want nobody to see me. And as a grown man, sometimes when all your frustration emotions come out, you got to let it out. So I didn't want nobody to see me. And then I went home and I thought about it, and I said, I'm attend every meeting. I got a taste of what it feels like to be my righteous, real self.
Wow.
I got a taste of what it truly feels like to be alive. They got many different states of being dead and alive. Like they say, you could be dead spiritually, mentally, and so forth. I was through all that, but now I'm alive. Something woke up. And from then on, I'm Hansani-Bey, Moorish American. On everything, what jobs I go to, I try to be cheerful, be myself, because I'm at home 360 degrees in my journey. And being that I was so stubborn and hard-headed and stiff-necked, sometimes people come to God willingly, and sometimes they come to him unwillingly. I was one of the most unwilling person. So I caused my own hell. I don't have much lofty advice, but I could tell you what not to do because I did it. It's easy to tear your life up and tear up your reputation. The hard part is accepting the truth and being the truth. And you have to be patient with yourself. You have to forgive yourself. But you have to, I was in a state where I needed therapy, and the teachings of Noble Drew Ali, attending the meetings, talking with the members, talking with my Grand Sheik, William Osiris Bey, talking with my assistant Grand Sheik, our brother King Bey. I got therapy. And each time I attend the meetings and the national call, I'm getting more therapy because you constantly work on yourself. I'm still constantly working on myself. But when I look back, I love myself. I love my community. I love God. And, I just try to let my example show in itself, but like, as I told the Assistant National Grand Sheik, I'm on every call. I'm not missing a meeting. If I can't make it, I'll send a text because this is my lifeline. I took life for granted. I got life back and I'm not giving it up. I fight like hell. I'm not going back to the state of mind I was in. I'm never letting go of Allah, Noble Drew Ali, more science, and love for myself. I'm not. So I'm fully committed. I'll continue making mistakes, but I'll ask for help. I'll ask for advice. I'll pray, and I'll try my best not to make those mistakes because we all make mistakes, but it just feels good. It feels good to be at peace. And I think that's what our people need. We need to learn how to love instead of hate. I feel good. I wake up, I smile, I'm on calls, I'm smiling. I just think that we all need to learn to love instead of hate. And in this era of time, people are so hateful. Our family members are hateful. I had to hug my mother and I whispered to her and I said, Mama, I remember how you used to be. Please be like that again. I'm gonna help you. Because what I see now, you're my mama, but things have changed. And she started crying. Because she said she's been through so much while I've been gone.
Wow.
So my job is to be the best person I can be and to share my love through my actions, even with my own mother. So that's the power of more science, that it teaches you how to be more peaceful, get the answers that you need, but it'll come out of you. Your happiness, it's hard to explain. But when I be around other people, they seem to be happy. So I said, okay, everyone's laughing, you're feeling good and so forth. My mother's smiling now, and that's that's the benefits of more science for me.
That is a beautiful way of putting it. You being a child of your mother, going back to your mother, we know that the mother is the first teacher, and we're reminded of that in more science. And like you're saying, go back to those times when you saw happiness on her face. Your story is very impactful, is very powerful. For those listening, I just want to read something from the religious pamphlet, The Holy Quran of the Moor Science Temple of America, Circle 7, that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought to Moors in America. Again, in a teaching and the science for us as Moors, we're taught that a prophet is a thought of Allah, the great God Allah. And in the circle of life, if something is broken, it needs to be fixed. If something is dead that was once alive, it needs to be brought back to life. It's called a resurrection. And we're seeing through the story of our good brother, Mr. Hansani-Bey, he's just sharing with us his journey, and it's very impactful. I'm reading from chapter 49, the divine instructions from the Holy Prophet. And it says that the world, starting key 5, it said that the world may hear and know the truth, that among the descendants of Africa, there is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. It says, we as a clean and pure nation, descendants from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nation of Europe, neither serve their gods, the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we're returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations, as it was prepared for by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. Think about that for a moment. We gave something back, but we got double good back. We got not only our earthly salvation, but we also got what? A divine salvation. So it's not just something returned. We return to what? The first period. How we were, period, as a people, and how we ought to be. So as ones are witnessing the transformation that's happening in brothers like Mr. Hansani-Bey, this is meant for every single individual, male and female, that's been branded and labeled Negro, Black, Colored, Ethiopian, etc., African American, because they've been denationalized and they know it not. When the incident happened, even in Katrina, a lot of times in New Orleans, ones thought they were mistreated, but they did not understand that they were not viewed as real citizens. Every 25 years, ones have to now vote so Black people can continue to vote under the 14th Amendment. Keep that in mind. So we're not making this stuff up. Every nation have a nationality, just like even German Shepherd. The dog has a pedigree. The dog has a nationality. How much more so? It says in 9, P9, the covenant of the great God Allah, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. He says, come all ye Asiatics of America and hear the truth about your nationality and your birthright, because you're not Negroes. Learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. That's what our good brother just talked about. He's now learning to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come and link yourselves with the families of nation. We honor all true and divine prophets. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius, all the divine prophets we honor. We do not show any partiality. And it's just great to hear our brother demonstrate that in his testimony, in his sharing as to what experience he's gone through, and just his gratitude and gratefulness for what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's organization, the Moorish Science Temple of America, this Moorish Divine and National Movement, teaches Muslim here in America and throughout the world. So with that, we're going to go to another commercial, and we'll be right back with our good brother, Mr. Hansani-Bey, to hear more about his story and his journey, because we can all learn from this beautiful story unfolding.
Hello viewers, you are watching Millennium News 24. America and global villages seen America independence built by immigrants, manufacturers, roads, highways, educations, healthcare, IT, scientists, space, business development to all thousands of multimedia and all major social media platforms and news network in America. Millennium News 24, one of truthfully news networks in America and global news organizations. Please watch, follow and subscribe. We are in iOS and Android devices, Roku, Amazon, Apple devices, all smart TV, globally Horizon satellite, social media Millennium News 24, Millennium TV 24. Website www.millenniumnews24.com and www.millenniumtv24.com. Thank you.
Wow. Again, welcome back to Universal Pathway. I'm your host, Brother Curtis Douglas Ill, and I'm here today with Mr. Hansani-Bey of the More Science Temple of America in Oakland, California. The story that our brother has been sharing with us is very impactful. Not only do I feel it emotionally, clearly he himself feel it, he lived it. But what I do feel is a connection. And before going to the commercial just now, I read something from the Moorish Holy Quran, which is this pamphlet of 1927, brought to Moors in America by Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali also connects us up back to the great Quran of Muhammad. So he reminds us that we're connected to that demonstration as well. And we honor Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, for the great works that he's done in Arabia and throughout the world at large. And it is our hope to not only know our nationality, but also practice these highest principles known to man, which are love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. So before I ask my brother to continue, I just want to share something from a chapter 10 of the same pamphlet, the Moorish Holy Quran, the More Science Temple of America, Circle 7, divinely prepared by the noble prophet Drew Ali. In chapter 10, it says this. It says, Jesus spake on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. He says, Benar is the sacred city of the Brahms. And in Benares, Jesus taught Udraka was his host. Udraka made a feast in honor of his guest, and many high-born Hindu priests and scribes were there. 3, it says, Jesus said to him with much delight, I speak to you concerning life, the brotherhood of life. Today, we're now hearing the witness and the story from one of our brother Hansani-Bey. He's a part of the brotherhood of life. And from a crash in the marital relation between his mother and father, an uncle became an influence upon him, and it was not a good influence. In 4, it says the universal Allah, just like the show, Universal Pathway, the universal Allah. Not that I'm saying the show is Allah, but we all have a perspective. The universal Allah is one, yet he's more than one. All things are one. By the sweet breath of Allah, all life is bound in one. So if you touch a fiber of a living thing, you send a thrill from the center to the outer bound of life. And when you crush beneath your feet the meanest worm, you shake the throne of Allah and cause the sword of life to tremble in its sheath. The birds sing out its songs for men, and men vibrate in unison to help it sing. The ant constructs its home, the bee its shelter comb. The spider weaves her web, and flower breathes to them a spirit in their sweet perfume and gives them strength to toil. Now men and birds and beasts and creeping things are deities made flesh. And how dare you kill anything? It is cruelty that makes the world awry. When men have learned that when they harm a living thing, they harm themselves. They surely will not kill nor cause a thing that Allah has made to suffer pain. We see and witness the pain that the brother has caused, like he said, in one of the last acts before he now starts his rehabilitation process. He actually did take a life. He gave 33 years 1 month and 11 days of his life. Not only that, he gave his heart totally over to who? The great God Allah. So my brother, you might not realize, and I do hope you will, the impact that your life set as an example. So with that, please continue to share with us your journey, whatever has been put on your heart to share with our listening audience and myself today. Because I'm truly taking notes mentally, spiritually, because it's been said this way. We can be like the fool, never learn from our mistake. We could be smart and learn from our mistakes. You said you continue to make mistakes, but this, you know this. By sharing your story, we can all be wise. And what does the wise men do? Or the wise women do? We learn from the fool and we learn from those who are smart, who learn from their mistakes. So today you give the opportunity for others to learn from what has happened in your life. So please do not hold back. Whatever's in place on your heart, do share with us. You have the floor.
As of right now, I am gainfully employed. I drive trucks, which I actually like. I want to note that in my past, I never held a job down. Everything I did, I've always quit. I'm grateful that I graduated from high school, but I barely graduated because I had a habit of starting things and quitting everything. Sign up for college 3 times, quit. Jobs I have, maybe 2 or 3 months and so forth. So since I came back to God, since I've repented and started being myself while in prison, the longest job I had was 7 years. I felt proud of myself. Even the board members mentioned that, wow, because even in there, I was quitting things. Upon getting out, attending services, I've been gainfully employed. But what I've also noticed is that, I challenge myself now. When I set goals, nothing's going to stop me from getting it done because now I have confidence in myself. And when I go to my temple meetings, my Grand Sheik, Assistant Grand Sheik, and different more brothers and sisters at the meetings say that, you're doing a wonderful job. So that boosts my confidence up more because it's not just me. I got a community behind me. Wow. So now I just go for it. And, went through job training, went through this, went through that. I said, I'm going for it. It's on now because now that I'm alive, anything I want to do in the world, I can do. When I was in dead state of mind, it was all about discrimination, racism, this, that person. It was everyone else but me. Now that I'm with God, I can tell people I got God behind me now, and I'm doing what's right. The same effort that I had in doing wrong, I put that into doing what's right. And I tell people it's on. Get out the way. As James Brown say, you ain't got to do nothing for me. Just get out the way and I'll get it myself. Indeed. And that's how I think now. Because I know that I said, this is freedom. If I don't accomplish something, it's because it's something I did wrong and I accept that. But if it's something good, I said, that's God working through me. I feel good. I feel great. And I like that family respect me. I like that I got respect from the temple, my peers, my community, and so forth. And I feel wonderful. And it feels good to not give up on things now. Set goals, I'm going through it. As a fullback or running back going through that line, I'm going through it. And I feel good. And I see now why it's important to have community, not self, not being enlightened, be by myself. I have to be a part of a community because the community has certain culture and standards and so forth. In my temple, all the Moors are industrious. One sister, she just got her master's degree. Another brother is known for handing out food. My sister Grand Sheik has many hats. I can't count them. My Grand Sheik is involved in helping children. So when I speak, I said, man, I'm among good people. Because when you change your life, you also have to be among better quality of people. So I have a new family. I have a new community. And my community, they promote excellence. They don't put me down. So that's another part about more science, is that you have the religious aspects, but we also have the community. It's not just a community itself. I'm a part of a community that promotes excellence, to promote what's righteous, and they give me a pat on the back. And it feels good. I got a pat on the back. I said, man, that's wonderful. So that's another aspect of more science, is that it'll benefit you spiritually, mentally. It answers all your questions, and it gives you a profound sense of who you are. And if you have any questions, just study yourself. And also, more science, it doesn't hate on other religions. I study from the Bible because I love Jesus. All Moors we love Jesus. We study Buddhist teachings, Confucius teachings. Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius. I'm attending other people's religious services because they worship God. I have no problem with that, because I have no problem with religion. I love God, and they're practicing worshiping God. Those are my brothers and sisters. So can you please share with me how you view God? Because man views God differently.
Well said. Well said.
So that's why, as a Moorish American, I could attend other people's services. I'm peaceful. I believe that Noble Drew Ali made me a better citizen.
I could definitely confirm that, my brother. The vibration that's coming through the airways right now is very high. Honest to you for that commitment that you've made. You know, you definitely speak to the universality of the brotherhood and sisterhood of life. And, you know, it's truly great to know that ones have kept the door open, and introducing ones as well, that it doesn't matter if you're in New York, Oakland, California, throughout the continental United States, and even globally as well, that the door of more science is open to all. It's not just, we don't hate on any religion. We don't hate on any perspective. Earlier, I said we gave Christianity back. The reason why, it became clear for us that the children who came from a Moorish perspective here in America, who now carry Christianity, that was a part of the branding that came as a result of the fall. So we had to give that back and embrace a teaching religiously that predates that and connect us back to what? The ancestors. So rightfully so, you would hope that that beautiful smile of your mother would return. In the same way, we would hope that the beautiful essence of Moorish American and how they ought to move based on how their ancestors moved 7-11 and even prior to that, ancient Egypt, the Kemetic science, all that. Atlantis is not here, but going all the way back to those ancient times where empires were built, and we have great wonders today to basically have us now wonder and think about the great industrious work that our ancestors have done. It is great to see that you're being industrious, which brings me to a question. Do you see family in your future as far as you now being able to take a wife and have children of your own? Is that something that you're hopeful of?
Yes, I've talked with my Grand Sheik and assistant Grand Sheik on marriage rights and so forth. But yes, I do see that. But I wanted to make sure that my children don't go through what I went through. And what I mean by that is that sometimes one generation of being enlightened and don't pass it on to the next. And I don't want my son or daughter to have to go through studying like I did. So that's why I'm making sure that I have myself together. I have all my paperwork together, because just as the sins of the father goes on to the child, but also the blessings. So I want to give them the name of Bey. I want to give them the name, a righteous name, and so forth. I want to give them a healthy environment. That's why I'm making the sacrifices of staying on the road so that way I can prepare. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, and I'm in preparation, but I want to make sure that I will be the best example of a father.
You know what? I was going to ask you, can you expound upon the importance of getting this information to the youth? But I think you did a very great, explanation just now in just embracing that primary role of fatherhood. Honest to you in just articulating that as well. Now that it's clear that you have more of a universal perspective in thinking, if you had an opportunity to do anything over, what would you do differently? Why?
You know, That's a good question, because at the parole hearing, they asked that question. And the question was framed a little different. They said, if you could go back in time, what would you tell your younger self? And it's kind of, actually, I told him I wouldn't tell my younger self nothing. I would give him a hug because he was scared. You know, when you're in a dead state of mind, you're afraid. When you don't have the courage to stand up, the courage to do what's right, that fear is because you're afraid. You might be afraid of what society think, what other people think, you know, but the main thing is I would go back and hug my younger self and wouldn't let him go. And because a lot of times we need, that's important. I understand what Nova Drali said about love instead of hate. That power of love, unconditional love, you know, love without strings attached. So I don't know if that answers your question, but even if I see a young person now that's going crazy, one of the things that they need is just a hug. If I had a nephew that was going crazy, I wouldn't say nothing to him. I'd just go over and hug him. Hug him and tell him, I got you. God got you. A lot of us don't believe that God is there for us. And some of us just need a physical hug, a spiritual hug, a mental hug, some type of reassurance. You'd be surprised. That's what I did with my mother. I hugged her. And I told her, you know, I forgive you. I forgive myself. I'm gonna help you be how you used to be. And I see that she started crying because she needed a hug.
My
and
brother,
I just thought that hug and demonstrating love is powerful. Because
yes,
that's what the brother in prison did for me. Gave me love. That's what Grand Sheik Cosmo Hill did. That's what my Grand Sheik, my sister Grand Sheik, and the members. That's what you do on the national call when we spoke last time. Just the love. That love makes a person feel good.
Well, my brother, you're communicating that love to many globally, throughout the world right now, in your vulnerableness and the power of touch. You hit the nail on the head. I remember my grandmother explained to me that she was not hugged when she was growing up. And my mother said the same thing. She did not hug. So, you know, we give hugs in our household a lot. So
That's good.
just you communicating with your
Yeah.
vulnerableness, you're
Yeah.
actually touching people, because that's the power of touch. A hug is the power of touch. And
Yeah.
when we come with the right intention to really lift up and embrace the universal brotherhood and sisterhood of life, you know, that's the great reason why the great God gave us arms. So we can embrace, not that we can box and fight, but we can embrace, bring somebody closer to our heart and just let them know, hey, we got you. So honest to you, to that, you definitely answered the question. In closing, what inspiring thoughts would you share with our viewers to encourage them to stay and get on that path of being a better human being?
I would say for each individual to take time out to be by themselves and just close their eyes and meditate and just contemplate their existence. You know, just sit there and who am I? Why am I here? Uh, just think about things. Because a lot of people, I seen that during the pandemic, a lot of people were able to stop doing what they were doing in life and sit back and think about themselves. But I think that people should just take the time to think about what's important. And what's important in life is the worshiping of God. What's important in life is the people around you, your family. What's important in life is you. You know, take time to you work on your character. That'll make you feel better. That's what I'm working on. In fact, I just want to say briefly, at work, I made a mistake, and my supervisor, while talking to the safety people, he tried to talk me into, well, say it this way. I said, okay. When we got on the phone, I couldn't do it. I couldn't lie. And I tried. And he said, didn't I tell you to say it that way? I said, I tried. It just wouldn't come out like that. And then I stepped back in and I said, I just can't do it no more. It doesn't feel right. And I'd say, if I lose my job, I just lose my job. But I just can't do it like that no more. So now that told me that basically I have changed. And that's what I would explain to other people, that, we just have to learn how to love ourselves and actually be ourselves. That's hard, but you need some good people around you to help you with that. That's the best advice I can give.
Well, honest to you, my good brother, you answered well. You saw the light. You then walk in the light, and right now you're being the light. So that's why it's hard for you to not tell the truth. So honest for you, just being vulnerable, standing on that truth. Can truth change? We know that truth cannot change or pass away. Again, to our viewers, thank you for being here. Thank you, Brother Hansani-Bey, for being here and just being vulnerable and open with us. I truly learned a lot. Your example is vast. Very grateful that you shared your view with us here on Universal Pathways and Millennium TV 24 Network. We hope our listeners and audience have been edified and encouraged to live their best life, despite some of the challenges that you might be going through. Know that we are a global family and we need to be a better neighbors in our current and future interactions. Thanks and gratitude to our viewing audience. Remember to share with others that you think that might benefit from this information. Subscribe to our various different social media platforms and give us your feedback as to how we can improve with suggestions and comments. Peace and love to you all.
All right, peace.